Welcome back to the channel, everyone. So I'm currently running a large order of mini toolboxes on my Thunder Nova Plus 35. And the other night I went about making a jig so that way I could stay consistent with my loading and just make it a lot easier for me. I've made a lot of jigs in the past for my X-Tool S1. If anyone has questions on how to do that, I'll happily make a video on that. But I took some 1/4 inch ply from my local big box store and went in Lightburn and made my first jig for my Thunder. This is the first time I've done it on Lightburn and via my Thunder. So it's a learning experience for me, but this one fits perfectly. All my toolboxes are lined up. Everything's great. So I just wanted to share how I went about doing this, see if maybe it can help some others and if I can learn some other tips along the way. So stay tuned. So it's time to make a jig. I already have my material in here. It's just a 1/4 inch piece of ply that we're going to be using. So first things first, it's all going to be done with absolute coordinates. So just get the laser centered over here. I'm going to autofocus it. Really simple. And then you jog it back. Camera's here. I have the lens cap off. It can be seen. And then we move over to the computer. So coming in and explaining this, when I first put this jig together, I created a rectangle here for the size of my toolbox. I did the measurements and everything and made it just a hair bigger, like 20 thousandths, 0.02 on each side, just to give it a little bit of room, but also keep it tight so that way it wouldn't move around at all. And then I highlighted it, did a grid array, and then I did my spacing, which my spacing on the X would, you do it center to center is the easiest way when you're making the jig. So make sure when you go in here that my X spacing, you click distance from center to center right here. And so then, I added a second one and same thing here. Anyway, but you do your center to center and get your spacing here. You can take your spacing down. I was 8 inches on the Y, 12 inches on the X. But then after the fact, you can put that down here. I picked this up from Emily at Wild Willow Woodworks in one of her past videos where she was making a jig. She mentioned about putting the spacing on your jig, and that makes it a lot easier for you in the future when you go ahead to place your artwork. You just center your artwork in your first square, and then you can highlight it, go to your grid array, and then do your spacing, and it'll place them all centered perfectly. So I have the file sent over. I've already loaded it up. Let's frame it. It's exactly where we want it. So we'll go ahead and drop this down. We'll give a quick air test. Low air is, give it a slight adjustment, get that right where we want. High air, it's as high as it can go. So let's run the file. And it's done. Looking good. So we'll just pop these out real quick. See if I can just get, yeah, that'll be perfect. You can smell that. It smells like a bonfire. So I just did a test fit with the toolbox in the jig. And something I didn't account for is these Harbor Freight toolboxes, as wonderful as it is and nice as it is, they have in the corners, on all 4 corners here, if you can see, they have little plastic feet that go in there. I've removed them on this box because when I went to place the box in, the feet stick out ever so slightly on the sides and there's not clearance in the jig because I didn't account for it. So fortunately they're removable. I popped them out and just to test fit it, I put it in. It's still tight. It fits, but it's tight because I made it a little bit snug. I have one thing that I'm going to do that's should remedy the fact that it's a little bit tight and also will remedy the fact for those feet and give clearance is I'm just going to go back into Lightburn real quick and I'm going to put a dog bone on each corner. Just put a round on each corner and it'll just round it out And then that'll give clearance for those feet, and it'll also just give a little bit of relief for the toolbox, and the rest of the jig will hold it from the sides and square it up. So I'm going to go do that now and see how that works. As a machinist by trade, I just went ahead, I made it a little bit snug, but I also didn't account for the little rubber feet on the bottom of the toolboxes on the corners. So what I did is I measured how far in those feet were from like the back edge here. They're about 650 thousandths in order to clear it. So that's 0.650. So I came in, I made a circle, double that. So 1.3 inches, 1 inch 300. But if I centered it over each corner, then they overlapped here between the two. So I just offset the first one in a little bit, but made sure it was still down all the way. I was able to use this grid line here in order to place that and make sure it was good. But I just brought it down, and then I took my scissors and I chopped it. And from there, I just placed it so that way it was touching the edges. I copy pasted it and I put it on the other three corners that were the same. Then I just copy pasted, mirrored, put it over here, then vertical mirror, horizontal mirror, so on. Probably an easier way to go about that, but I just, in a pinch after the fact, that was an easy way for me to fix this, which then I just ran only those as a cut file and cut out the corners, and it gave me the spacing so the toolboxes fit absolutely perfectly now. They don't move around, don't do anything. And also for you to be able to place this jig back in at a later date, if you put hash marks here around all four corners, then you're able to come in and you're running it off absolute coordinates. So you do your absolute coordinates over here on your laser control, and I do top left corner. But then when you come in and you place your jig back in your bed, you can come over here and click right here. And this is to set your laser position. So it'll run the laser right here. So you'll click in the center right here. And my laser's running right now, so I don't want to mess with anything. I don't know if that would affect it or not. But anyway, then you're able to get the laser lined up with your red dot. Then you can do the same thing for over here and so on. You can shift it and get your jig position perfectly and then just anchor it in place. Now, something else I did, if I go over here and click show, this blue box, so this is for the toolboxes in mind. So like the Cobalt toolboxes from Lowe's, they're perfectly flat all the way across the top, so you can engrave everywhere. But these US General boxes from Harbor Freight, at the front lip, they have a slope. So I took a measurement from what the engravable area is that's totally flat across the top. And that's what this blue box is. So I just made a box that size, dropped it centered in this upper left-hand corner. And once it was centered, then I highlighted it, grid array, and I used my spacing here that we discussed. And then I was able to plop all four of them in there perfectly. And then I just made them a tool line T2, so they're not a cut file or anything. And then highlight everything, lock it all in place, because this is never going to move. So then once you're ready to place your artwork in this, that gives me, I can size my artwork down appropriately, and then I can center it up. As you can see here, I can just click it, highlight it, and then hold shift, click the blue line, hit my center location, and then it will center it within that blue box, and then I'm good to go. And of course, then if I was doing that, I do it up here, hit my spacing, grid array again, spacing, and I'll place my artwork all perfectly in place if you're running the same artwork in all of them. That's absolutely beautiful and as good as it gets. Just need to make sure to anchor this so that way it's not going to move around at all. Keep my absolute coordinates. But yeah, that's going to be great. So I just engraved this one, wiped it down. But what I did was I sat the box in each corner just to test it out and sent the file over to each different corner and just framed it to make sure with my jig that it was all good. Everything's perfect. So just drop the box in, ran it. Everything's lined up exactly where I want it to be. As you can see, here's that lip that I was talking about. So that's it for that. So now it's time to load them all up and get going on it. That's it for today, but thank you for watching. I hope this was helpful. If it was, please like, subscribe, and keep making, keep creating. I'll see you on the next one.